Hi everyone, it's Jo Gifford here, day 4 of Lead From Your Edge. And in this week of live training on day 4, we've been pulling everything that we've been doing in the first few steps together to really start to articulate your message for how you explain to clients what it is you do and how to convey to them exactly your approach. My kids are having bath time and it's like a crazy story out here. So let's start. So leadfromyouredge.com. If you haven't joined the free group at the moment, you can jump in there and catch up on all the other videos and get my support. So leadfromyouredge.com will lead you to the free group where you can go on in. There is a pop-up group only on for this week. And this is day 4's power move. So what we've been doing so far is building up from establishing your personal power paradigm, working out what it is that makes you unique in your approach and your expertise and your experience and in your personality. So you bring all that stuff together and really kind of stand in the confidence of who you are. Then we built upon that with your alter ego, which is less schizophrenic than it sounds. And so so you can check out a video from day 2 on that one, which will walk you through that stuff. Hey guys, say hi if you just joined the broadcast. I want to hear who's here, and do let me know that you're joining in, and I'm here for any questions for you as well. And we built up on the power paradigm and the alter ego, and then we said, right, let's find the white space around what is already being said. So we looked at what is currently being said in your industry, what is not being said in your industry, and where you can find your space to fit in with that. Hi guys, thank you so much for sharing. Hi everyone, thank you so much for being here. Hey Jessica, hey Rachel, hey Bradley, thank you for joining in. Awesome to see you guys here. So what I would like you to take a peep at today, and again, this is all tiny steps to to have a big result, because I know that you're all busy, you're all doing loads of stuff out there, but the result you want is to be able to communicate super clearly to your audience your approach in a way that stands out, okay, which is leading from your edge in a way that brings all of your personality, all of your genius, all of that stuff, and you find a space where you fit in and you design for your market by saying, this is who I am and this is what I do, and your clients will love you for it. So who's been here for the sort of 3 days so far? If you have been here for 3 days so far, I'd love to hear how you're getting on and the results that you're having so far. I know that everyone's seeing some brilliant shifts. It's, completely free training, and I'm just really pleased to see everybody really stepping into their sort of confidence with their messaging. So for this part of pulling it all together, hey Linda, awesome to see you here. I'd like you to connect back to that goal of what you're designing this for. Hey Megan, I'd love for you to think back to that moment on day 1 where we said, okay, what is the end goal? Am I standing on a stage? Am I at my TED talk? Have I just launched a podcast? Or whatever your stage is, it could be doing live broadcasts, it could be doing interviews, it could be webinars, it could be all sorts of things. So connect back to that confidence. Okay, Bradley says, I always say too much and use too many words and have to be tougher and condense my messages. Bradley, that's awesome, because that's what we're looking at today. So thank you so much for bringing that up. Thank you, Linda. I'm glad the broadcast is back. Hopefully it wasn't glitchy for everyone. I know sometimes live TV can be a little bit glitchy. So I want for you to really connect with that image of you. And if you've missed the sort of pre-training videos, do have a look either on my profile or jump in the leadfromyouredge.com group, and you'll find everything in there. And you could also sign up for the worksheets and stuff, which will really help you through this. So imagine yourself, you're there, you've got your mic drop moment, and you're like, right, this is who I am. And that is what we want to distill here. So by putting a framework around how you work, it makes it a lot easier to explain what you do. Okay, so here we're distilling all the stuff we've done before, the background work of getting clear on your distinct approach and your way of doing things, and now we're trying to put it all together in a way that makes sense to clients. So for example, rather than saying, well, I kind of help people work creatively and I help them kind of do blogs, and sometimes I do Facebook Lives, and I kind of help them find clients and we do some content stuff, you'd be like, what does she do? But if I say I help small businesses and entrepreneurs ignite their brilliance and get their message out into the world, more concise, right? And you understand the flavor of me and who I am in that really small statement. And from there, of course, for those of you who've seen my stuff before, you've seen the brilliance ignition process, which is a much neater way of saying, I help you ignite your creativity through sort of tiny daily tasks, and then we put it all together and you're creating content and you're more effective. That doesn't really explain it. Whereas if I call it the brilliance ignition process, it's a different thing. It's something which could be a book, it can be sort of posts, it could be all that stuff. And for those of you who know me for the Blow Up the Blueprint group, and for that movement of thinking around letting go of the constraints of a blueprint and thinking creatively outside that says more than I kind of help people do creative thinking in their business and blah blah blah. So you are putting a framework and a kind of concept together which is at the heart of what you do. So I challenge you to think about a way that you can distill what you do into a really tiny concept or phrase that really hits that sweet spot. So some of you have come to this training bringing all sorts of influences to what you sort of do in your business or your main part of your business. So I know some of you are sort of coaches, but you bring in nutrition, but also sort of mindset stuff, but also a bit of organization and a bit of this and a bit of that. That's great, and that's a really unique approach. So what can we call that? And a great way to look at that is to think about the end result that you get for your client and mix that with your approach and do some brainstorming around it. And it's not something that, I'm not going to lie, it's not something that's going to be immediately there. Sometimes it might be something that you need to work at and kind of give yourself some space, but do some ideation around it, do some brainstorming and get feedback from people, get feedback from me, get feedback in the group, kind of ask around, but you'll feel into this. And the mic drop moment happens when you add in all the stuff we've done so far, all of the build up to this. And now you're saying, right, I'm going to distill it down into something that's really powerful and really impactful. So does anyone here want to have a go at distilling their approach? Because sometimes when you phrase it as a process or a formula or some kind of transformational experience, it becomes much easier for your clients to understand than a mishmash of this and that. Because we are all a mishmash of this and that in the way that we approach things. So my approach to content creation is different from other people because I bring the creative thinking part to it. And I bring my kind of experience as a graphic designer and a blogger and a podcaster and a teacher and a copywriter. All of that stuff I bring into the mix. So I have all that experience, and the way that I would approach things is different to someone else that had a different background. So my portfolio experience is different to anybody else's, and the same as your portfolio experience will be different from anybody else's. So let's just take a little look. Does anyone want to be brave and have an example, and we can try and shape something? So think about how your clients feel. Think about the results that you get for your clients. And if you can connect with the feeling that your clients have after working with you, is it confidence? Is it abundance? Is it clarity? Or is it something that's more tangible? Okay, Bradley, let's go in with Bradley. Thank you, Bradley. So Bradley says, my new strapline is helping businesses grow and succeed. It summarizes what you do. Okay, so you've got a growth element here and a success element is what I'm hearing. I would challenge you, Bradley, to tell me a little bit more about your distinct approach. I don't know whether you've been through the first sort of few videos of the training, and I'd love for you to go back and have a look if you haven't. But I would love to know what you bring to helping businesses grow and succeed that is unique to you. What is your approach to this? What is your kind of outlook? What are you saying that is not being said anywhere else? Because helping businesses grow and succeed, that's a great thing that I would like to attach to as a tangible outcome. But, what is there that we can help you to stand out with? That's what I'm really looking for here. So if you can drop me a line below in the comments and kind of tell me, how you do it. Is it a mixture of what strategy? How do you work with clients? Is it a way you might have a unique way of working that is different from other coaches, other consultants? Is there anything that you bring to this approach that is bespoke to you? And there's going to be, because it's what nobody else is you. Do you have a background in a particular industry or sector? Do you have experience in various things that you can bring to this that is unique? That's what I would challenge you to think about, because and it's great to have a strap line. It's great to have that focus, because I know that, oh, great, I want to grow and succeed. That's fantastic. But I would also like to know what it is about you that does it in a certain way. What makes me want to hire Bradley than hiring anybody else? So I know that this is streaming in a couple of groups. So I'm just going to have a look. I've just been tagged as well. So, all right, no, that wasn't relevant to the feed. Okay, does anyone else want to be brave and share what they currently have? Okay, I'm going to go with Linda. Linda, thank you for being brave. So Linda says, currently, I'm using the tagline, supporting and inspiring women who meditate. I'd like to include something along the lines of better living through meditation. Cool. So meditation improves lives, right? So what is it about meditation that gives us a life improvement? Is there a transformation through finding space? Is it like, and that's where I would urge you to start delving in. So, and you're looking at women, you're inspiring them. So is there something around transformation, inspiration, mind space? I'm trying to push you down to explore, sorry, not push you down, that sounds more controlling, but I'm trying to invite you to explore things like, meditation inspiration, or meditate and inspire, or that kind of thing. But I would ask you to look at ways that you can disrupt what's not being said. Do you remember we looked at this the other day, and you were brilliant with this task as well, was looking at ways that you can stand out. And I know that you did that the other day. So this is where you can say, okay, so we're talking about inspiring, we're talking about supporting, we're talking about meditation, we're talking about women. Right. How can I talk about this in a way that is kind of like, oh, that's interesting, that's inspiring, that's disruptive. So I'm going to come back to Bradley for a minute. So thank you, Linda, and thank you, Bradley, for taking part in this. So Bradley says, we all face adversity at some stage. You face major adversity, and it means that you've been down the hole in business and life. Yeah, so you've really experienced some ups and downs, and as we all have, you've experienced all sorts of stuff. So there's like you have a personal connection, you have a viewpoint on it. So I feel like you'd be kind of you'd have empathy towards your clients, Bradley. You'd have an approach that is kind of has a human element to it from just what you're saying here without the background work. I'd say you have a real human sort of connection element. So we've got growth and we've got success, but are you going to hold my hand through this as someone who really gets it, who would challenge me but also hear me, who would sort of be courageous for me, all that kind of stuff. So think about those. Right, awesome. So think about those elements that you could bring into talking about success and growth. Can you talk about sort of being a champion for someone? I mean, that's I would go down the sort of a thesaurus route and look at what other things around a champion or an advocate could we look at that would describe that feeling of totally supporting your clients in a really human way. Does that make sense? So we're exploring other ways that aren't using lexicon and words that everybody else is already using, because we want you to stand out, but we also want you to explain what you do in such a way that we are conveying that emotion of you having my back. So you would totally have my back. You get it. You've been there. You've done it. You know the ups and downs. We know it's going to be hard. We know it's going to be interesting working together. And I want that to be conveyed in what you're telling me that you do. Does that make sense? So it's like with each step, you kind of go nearer and nearer and nearer, and you go, okay, so is that saying what I want it to say? Hey Zoe, nice to catch you. So glad you're here. No worries, Linda. Yes, awesome. So it's that kind of thing. It's like seize the moment. It's the understanding, is there a flow to it? I mean, flow doesn't make sense if you're coaching this way, but there's an ebb and flow. So there's a kind of there's a sense of going with the ups and the downs, knowing that that's part of growth. So think about ways that you can describe that. And I would also map it back to exactly what you bring to the stage, into the story, and exactly, perhaps even pinpoint some moments in your life and your business where, those challenges have been, totes, love it, where those challenges have been really raw and really, sort of visceral for you. And see if you can think of an image that can really connect to what your clients would be asking. And here's the thing, guys, your clients might not know that this is what they are, they might not know that this is what they need, right? But by you standing out from the market, by putting your approach in a certain way, so rather than saying, for Linda, rather than saying, oh, it's meditation, it's this and this, she's saying it's, you can create sort of transformation and inspiration, that you are improving your life in this tangible way through meditation. And rather than thinking, oh, it's just like another thing for me to do to meditate, I'm going to know that if I listen to Linda, I'm going to have a transformation. And that's ultimately what your clients want. They want to know what the end result is. Are they going to have more money? Is their life going to be better? Are they going to look more awesome? Are they going to be super famous? They want to really connect to that. So Zoe says, Bradley, she has that same wordy problem. And that's totally, so many of us do, which is why we're here. Like, it's not that you're all terrible and you've all failed. This is exactly why we're here this week, to kind of have a look at some of this stuff and to sort of delve in and see whether we can make it simple. And I know a lot of you have already connected with that emotion, that shift of what you do, by going, oh, do you know what? I'm different because this is what I do in a completely different way. So if you talk to me about content creation and repurposing, I'm going to talk to you about that stuff, but also with an element of creative thinking, of ideation, of ways of working smarter. That's Joe Giffords. And some people will be like, no, she's not for me. I mean, fools, really. But but you get the idea. So my market would, my people who sort of come to me, like I have done for years and years, as an audience, as a tribe, if you like, of peeps. Although that word is so overused, so again, would need to find a way to sort of just. My peeps really get Joe Gifford and are here for that reason. So and your peeps will be there for you. So it might be a mixture of the way that you of the way that you do sort of free training, of the way that you create content, of the way that you convey all the stuff. It's all part of that message. So let's just go back. So we're talking about your client results and your approach, which I've spelt wrongly on there as your approach. So your approach, see, part of my approach is embracing spelling errors because it's real life, right? So Zoe, I recently tried to distill what I do as fully embodied conscious integration, but I don't think that is accessible to most. I am conscious integration part of that, Zoe, and that's something to play with for sure. I think conscious integration has got legs. I think that needs a bit more playing with, right? But, and if you can attach that to the result some way, I think we can brainstorm around that. So I'm excited about that. So put that in the group, Zoe, as well. So I would like to think about what happens when you consciously integrate mind and body, and the connection between what your peeps need. So they need you for what? To help deal with mind, sort of body issues. Perhaps I don't even know that there's a mind-body connection, Zoe. So how can we say to them, well, actually, this is what you needed all along? And that's where I would play with that. Bradley says, whenever I talk about adversity, it gets 4 times more views. People feel the pain of adversity, but sometimes feel afraid to talk about it completely, and then feeling comfy to do so. Yeah, that is just brilliant. And Bradley, I just want to honor you and sort of acknowledge you for being vulnerable. And the same here. Whenever I talk about life with chronic illnesses and life as a working mum and a kind of entrepreneur, and when we open up and say that everything isn't always as perfect as it is on Instagram, as it is on Facebook. There's ups and downs. We're all human. And I know certainly whenever I've shared my struggles and my bad days, and it's never to put the energy out there of it being, negative or sort of poor me, or it's also not to be like, hey, I'm a superhero, nothing like that. But people get to connect with you, Bradley, which is what I love about that. And so if you're finding that, you kind of talking about how you dealt with adversity, you know, you're going to really attract people as well who are kind of open to, you know, sort of recognizing that life is like that. So lovely, Linda. You resonate with what Bradley said, and you'd like to include that your program can help women navigate challenging times. Yes. So navigating is a strong image, isn't it? I really like the idea of like navigating, inspiration, meditation. I feel like your toolkit here, Linda, is, you know, we know that your toolkit, your vehicle is meditation, and you know, using that word navigate really gives us the idea that, you know, we're sailing through the waters of troubled times. I have a toolkit, I've got my, you know, compass, and that says a lot. So choosing words like that can really show, and, you know, through kind of imagery like that is such a brilliant way. So that's another one to add to your pot. I would certainly brainstorm around that. That's brilliant. Bradley, helping people get back up is so cool. And if that sounds like that's something that you're really passionate about as well. So how can we talk about getting back up, or like highs and lows? How can you talk about kind of managing adversity and success? So, you know, for your approach, we're talking about, you know, sort of balancing how to get back up and go further and succeed, because we know that failure is is a really important part of success, don't we? And we know that that has to be there in order to learn from it and to move on. So how, you know, what is it that you're doing that helps people shortcut those failures? Thank you so much, Bradley. Oh, thank you so much. I'm really honored that you're here. It's my pleasure that you're here. So for you guys, I'd love for you to, so, you know, as we're talking about here, we're talking about distilling that knowledge into something that is an emotional connection really to who you are and what you do. And obviously your message is so much more than just a phrase. It's the way that you talk. It's the way that you, that you brand your brilliance in all elements of your communication, online and off. So, you know, it's the way that, you know, it's your public sort of, you know, it's your public brand, isn't it? It's how you rock up and show up in different arenas and different forums, you know, whether it's a networking meeting, whether it's a live feed just like this, whether it's a webinar, or whether you're writing something in a Facebook group or LinkedIn group. So you need to, you know, and the more that you're confident in your message and the way that you sort of, you know, put yourself together in those different scenarios, that's when the sales are coming in, because you are really kind of, you know, sort of finding the space to articulate, you know, what you do and who you are in a way that is really clear and has a resonance to it that isn't just the same noise that everyone else is saying. And that's what I've been challenging you guys to do, because you all have an edge that you can lead from. We all have an edge and a point of difference. So for me, your career, you know, of the creative thinking, you know, starting off as a graphic designer and using creative thinking, you know, as my job as a design manager, and then, you know, sort of working as a copywriter and you know, teaching. So I bring all those things together, which makes this Joe Gifford approach of what you see now. So all of that stuff, you know, led me up to here. Thank you so much, Michelle. You know, Michelle's saying, love branding your brilliance. But you see, that's another example. I'm talking about branding your brilliance that's already in your head, which is easier than me saying all that stuff that you already know. You know, you kind of know a bit of this and a bit of that, and I'm teaching you how to put it all together. If I say brand your brilliance, you understand it, right? So this stuff becomes part of my lexicon and part of my toolkit to really communicate with clients as well, because that's, you know, from there, you are showcasing your edge and your difference all the time. Because how many of us are seeing in your industry all the time the same phrases, the same words, the same images, the same, all of it is the same. And, you know, I'm asking you, I show, you know, my edge. How can I show what I do? Because we become so swamped by what's happening out there, by what we're absorbing from everyone else, that we forget that you have your own edge, your own viewpoint, your own take on stuff, your own message. That, yes, although you might be, you know, running a cafe like the next person, your cafe has a different menu. Your cafe has a different kind of like interior. Your cafe has different staff. Your cafe has different ingredients. Do you see what I mean? So when, you know, so when your business is, you know, bricks and mortar, or whether it's online and sort of services, you have those different elements. So Zoe, the lovely Zoe says, I help creatives come back to a point of ease and grace, whatever their physical and emotional issue right now. And I teach them from that point to rewire their nervous systems so they don't keep getting caught in the same stress loops. Haha, Zoe. Yeah, been there too as a hyper creative right here. Hands up. Sort of t-shirt wearing hyper creative, right? Zoe, I love that. And I love the fact that you are speaking directly to creative. So what is it about the creative personality? So I would talk about, are you transforming that hyper creative overwhelm to ease and grace? So that's where you can shorten it and start to play with that. Do you see what I mean? So we can, we can really convey that kind of hyper overwire, or the overwire shortcut, or the the stuff like that. That's where we can start to play. So I love your concept there, and I love because I've known what you're doing with this training, that you are starting to bring in academia and your mixture of backgrounds to all of this. So all of that stuff will inform how you phrase this. So we're just working at kind of really articulating it down. Guys, thank you so much for popping onto this live stream. If you haven't joined the group already, I'd Lead From Your Edge. So pop onto leadfromyouredge.com, and there's a free Facebook to help you guys with all this. We've got the last day is tomorrow, so the last broadcast and the last set of videos, but you can also get the roundup of all the videos, sort of sent to you as a PDF with all the worksheets and everything in there for you to keep forever and ever and ever, because I'm nice like that. But guys, I'm so happy to see you here. Thank you so much for taking part and for rocking up and for, sort of talking to me on the live broadcast. Do come and hunt me down on Facebook and join my Blow Up the Blueprint group as well, where we're talking about doing things different in business. And for now, I'm going to say goodbye. Thank you so much, guys. Fist bump. I'll speak to you soon. Okay, bye. Bye, lovelies.